what looks like a typical British weather with a very cold afternoon with wet roads and drizzling all around. This is not England or Birmingham, but this is Mumbai, and we are riding out the BSA Goldstar 650 for the very first time in India. How is it like? What it is all about? And it is of course finally made in India, and it is of course sold by Classic Legends in the country and throughout the world as well. The Gold Star makes a big return, not to the Indian market of course, but as a brand altogether. This is its debut in India, and this ends up being a very important product for Classic Legends because they've started with the Java, then the SD, and now they have the Gold Star. Classic Legends is putting their name right to where they really want to work. They want to work with classic motorcycles. They want to bring back a lot of brands. This is the third brand that they're bringing to the Indian market, and there is of course a very big storied history about what the brand is all about and how the motorcycle should be. And there are some very unique points. A 650cc single cylinder engine that has been carried forward even today in 2024 says a lot about how Classic Legends wants to bring back a lot of the originality back to the table and to the customers as well. So as always, let's begin with the design. What you can see is a very typical classic British motorcycle layout with very large wheels at the front, which are spoke units. You've got a very nice chunky halogen lamp headlight here, which looks quite good. The illumination and spread is pretty good enough. Riding it in the rains, we realize that going back to halogens at times is actually quite fantastic. At the same time, you can see a very good large wide fuel tank, but surprisingly only 11.5 liters. What you see at the side is a very well finished motorcycle, good quality motorcycle that has been put together quite well. Apart from a little bit things here and there, it is not a big of a problem. What you can see here is the same tires that we are used to seeing the Phantom Sports from Pirelli, which have this unique and very now recognizable thread that you can see. A very small rear fender here with a large grab handle, which is very utilitarian in its look. But the overall motorcycle, the crankcase, the black color on this particular unit with the crankcase here finished in satin sort of silver, looks good. You've got the carburetor inspiration here with that finishing over there, and you can see it on this side as well. The small arms logo seen here is a sticker, not an embossment, surprisingly. And yeah, you've got this lovely fuel cap which says estimated since 1903, and this is something that opens up like this. Apart from that, I think this is a very good looking motorcycle. This clearly feels like it has come from the past and into the future with a little bit of much more futuristic details that you can see with the switch gear, with the USB A and C both being available. The modern switch gear, which is of good quality, works quite well. Tactile and feedback is good enough. Like I said, surprisingly in the October we're riding in rain, so we're getting a very good idea of certain things. Simple dials. You can see the telltale lights here on a separate pod. The small LCD screens in between over here and here, and the dials of course go all the way. As you can see, they do their swipe, and it goes the other way around than usual motorcycles. Again, in this area also, fit, finish and quality seems good enough. The levers also feel quite nice. Surprisingly, this lever is different from this lever right here. I guess you could have gotten the same levers here as well, but nevertheless it's a small detail. Sometimes you have to do that accordingly, so that's that. And you've got these nice BSA badged wrist sort of covers here for the throttle, and on this side as well, which I think looks quite nice. I really like the BSA logo altogether. And yeah, it's your typical motorcycle. You've got the standard tail lamp here, and that is what the motorcycle is all about. The seat is of a normal size in terms of length and width, and it's been accommodating me quite well. It's got a 780 mm seat height, which is quite good. At 5'11", I can flat foot this of course easily. 5'7" also should be able to manage this motorcycle just about okay. So it pretty much covers a large spectrum of riders of different height and builds, and they can easily come and ride this motorcycle. Apart from that, what can I tell you about is that it's got something that you look forward to in a classic motorcycle. You've got features here which can be controlled from this button. You can see trip, odo, and that's it. Again, there is no clock. That is the fuel gauge only. So it lacks a bit of a features, but nevertheless, it is supposed to be an absolute classic motorcycle, and it's okay. It is modern enough to look at the instrument cluster, and it retains that sort of old school charm to a very large extent. I like the stance, love the way it looks, absolutely loved in this color. I thought I loved the red, but I love the black even more. Everything just comes together really well in terms of the way it looks, the stance, the height, the suspension travel, everything just gives it a fantastic stance and a very good look. What is it now like to ride? So we've put in, let's say around 200 kilometers on it, and our first impression of the bike is that this 650cc motor is very special. It makes a lot of horsepower and torque, as we know, above around 55 PS of power, and this engine is smooth and free revving, but there are vibrations once you start at the mid-range and go till the top end, and I think that's about it, because low end and mid-range are good. Top end is just about okay. It reaches 140 kilometers hour very easily. You expect more from a 650, but then again you have to realize that it is a 650 classic motorcycle, not meant for much performance. And as you can see in the acceleration video which you have seen, is that this has a good amount of performance. I love the way it is delivered, and most importantly the way it revs, the way it sounds. The intake and exhaust note is absolutely spot on. I am riding this motorcycle, or at least shooting this video right now from a location where I bought a motorcycle, one of the very first classic motorcycles that I fell in love with, from an obvious brand, but I love the engine, I love the way it sounded, and despite it was far more filled with vibrations and everything, it is something that is very similar character, but it is very modern, and it is something that sounds really nice. It sounds of the yesteryear of 350, 400 or 500cc motorcycles that we've been used to in the country, and it exactly sounds like that. And at the same time, it's a 650. It has good power almost throughout the rev range, and I'm really happy with the performance. A single cylinder engine changes the dynamics of a motorcycle dramatically, and gives you a very, very raw and focused, and a feel that it is just more pure, and that just makes you connect to a motorcycle almost immediately. I have not connected to a classic retro motorcycle so well, like how I am well connected with the BSA here. This is something really, really magical. I think I had obviously no expectations. I had no previous impressions or anything of the bike. In fact, I missed the launch as well. But when I'm riding this, and in a time where I have to be neutral as much as possible before hopping on the motorcycle and test riding it and telling you a lot about it, this has impressed me. This has made me connect to it really well. I love the tires, the way it grips, the right suspension travel, the very good ride quality, just about enough brakes, and even in these wet conditions you can see me riding hard and fast because it has a lot of confidence. The suspension travel, the chassis balance is absolutely good. But like my colleague said, and what I also noticed to a certain extent, because of my heavy weight, I can't really feel that. My lighter colleague said that the motorcycle just weaves a little bit here and there at very slow speeds. And I also did notice that to a certain extent, but not by much, as much as he did with a lighter weight. What I noticed is that the ground clearance, the U-turn radius is quite high for a motorcycle of this category. We've seen other motorcycles in this category to be a little bit much more easier on you, but then again, you don't get that handling, you don't get that feel and that connectedness that you get from a single cylinder. This is just right. There is a bit of on and off throttle cut off that is a little bit abrupt, but it will not throw you off or jerk you very badly. Light and heavier riders both can confirm that aspect. Everything else about the BSA Goldstar 650 is absolutely amazing. It fills the classic motorcycle aspect just right, with enough braking, enough suspension, enough good quality tires, and it has impressed me quite a lot. I am very surprised at how good this motorcycle has turned out to be. I am can't wait to spend more time with this. Right now I can tell you it's comfortable, it's quick, it's fast, both of that, and it is something that will impress you quite a lot. The way the chassis has been done and the way the engine has been married to it is something that you don't see every day, and this is something worth cherishing and definitely buying for if you want that absolute amazing British motorcycle experience at a budget. There is of course much more expensive bikes by Triumph, but then again that is somewhere it fits in between the Royal Enfields and between the Triumph. It has found that particular sweet spot according to me, and a lot of people will say that it sounds a little bit odd, but spend some time, give it some time, understand what it is all about, take a test drive, and you will pretty much come to the conclusion that I have. And come back to me with questions if you have some on this, and we'll be happy to answer it. Right now that's how I can sum up my first impression. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.